Welcome back into the Motor Index, folks. Well, if things had gone a little differently on Saturday afternoon, we could have been talking about potentially one of the most historic weekends in the history of the NASCAR Cup Series. But regardless, Kyle Larson gets it done on Sunday in the Straight Talk Wireless 400 at Homestead. We'll get into the rest of Kyle Larson's weekend. It was a wild one later on in this video, but let's talk about the Cup race, shall we? So, Kyle Larson gets it done, chasing down Alex Bowman there at the end. It was pretty impressive there. That last battle there between, Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, and Kyle Larson was a really good battle. I thought there was a point at several times I thought each one of those drivers was going to win the race. Would have been huge for those other two drivers. Some great speed being seen out from both, but it ultimately was not their day. Ultimately, the cream rose to the top, and here we are. So, but I do expect those two, both Bowman and Bubba. I think their wins are coming eventually, but it's nobody's beating Kyle Larson at Homestead. It is what it is. I mean, look at how things ended in the fall. I mean, he beat himself. Yeah, I took Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and Denny Hamlin had that ridiculously good battle. But as far as speed was concerned, at the end of that race, if Larson would have made a more smarter pass on Blaney, he the same result that we watched here was pretty much what should have probably happened at that fall race. Which I guess should lead me into my next one is that a lot of people watched this race, and a lot of the sentiment online was that this wasn't that good of a race, which I just don't see how people are saying that. Now, look, did it have the constant playoff drama that the race in the fall did? No, of course it didn't. But is that to say that there wasn't exciting racing throughout the race? Like, sure, earlier in the first stage, Ryan Blaney kind of drives off into the distance, gets that stage win, but that stage win got really close there at the end of that stage. Second stage, I believe Denny Hamlin. Let's see here. Yeah, yep, Denny Hamlin went on to win that. Pretty uneventful that stage. I'm if I'm remembering correctly. But then that set up for stage three when we kind of got a long green flag run there, if I'm remembering correctly, and we really got to see the strategies kind of play out there, which was really fun to watch. But ultimately, this came down to Kyle Larson overcoming some, track position adversity throughout the day and giving himself a chance to win there at the end and being able to, execute better there at the end and run that high line over and over and over and over again in that final run. And ultimately, he was able to pass Alex Bowman, I believe. Was it with like 4 or 5 laps to go? Alex Bowman gets in the wall there in between turns 3 and 4, and that's all she wrote for Kyle Larson to get by him, and he never really looked back from there. But it's career win number 30 for Kyle Larson in the NASCAR Cup Series, coming in start 372. That is quicker to 30 wins than Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch. And it is just 2 races. It took him 2 more races than it did Kyle Busch to reach 30 wins. So very, very impressive markers for Kyle Larson there. And I was listening to the teardown earlier with Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck, and they were saying, I mean, shoe-in Hall of Famer at this point, Kyle Larson. And I think, obviously, I agreed. I think I kind of agreed before this race and probably a lot longer before this weekend. But, I mean, absolutely going to be in the Hall of Fame without a doubt. I think he has more wins now than they mentioned. He has more wins than Carl Edwards, who just got in the Hall of Fame. So, and Larson has the championship to show for it. So, Kyle Larson, best driver in NASCAR currently. I think that's pretty much unanimously agreed upon, and shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. So, crazy stuff. But this race, like I said, a lot of people kind of said this race wasn't as good as that race in the fall, which I think I'd have to agree. It wasn't as good. Like, that race in the fall, it was just constant battling among the top dogs, and with the stakes that was on the line, I think that really added to that. And having this race be what, race 6 of the season, you're just not going to have that same hard hitting drama lap after lap with the guys running at the top like you did in that race. But I mean, just like I kind of mentioned, this race was kind of setting up to be for the finish to be like that, with Ryan Blaney blowing the engine there. But Ryan Blaney had, you could argue, the fastest car throughout the whole day, and had his engine not blown, there's a great chance we would have seen the same two-car battle that was shaping up to take place in that fall race looked as though it was going to take place in the spring race. But third or second blown engine in 3 weeks for Ryan Blaney, crazy stuff. I think that there was a crazy stat. It was something like he either like hadn't had an engine blow in a really long time or ever, or it was like only like one or two in his whole like Cup career, and now it's like 2 in 3 races. Not to mention he got wrecked last week at Las Vegas. I'm forgetting if he DNF'd. I think he did DNF last week at Vegas. So man, terrible 3-week run for Ryan Blaney and the 12 team. But they are heading to what everybody kind of unanimously agrees is his best track at the moment, which is Martinsville. It's still up in the air if I want to pick him for that race or not. But I mean, proof is in the pudding that Blaney knows how to get it done nowadays at Martinsville. So should be a pretty popular pick next week. And we'll see. I got to think about if I do want to pick him for that race, but he will definitely be among the favorites heading into Martinsville next week. I guess let's just get into some other finishes. Let's see here. Third place for Bubba Wallace. Great result for him. They were mentioned something about his top 5 stats on a show I was listening to earlier. How he's kind of ahead of schedule at this point in the season. How he doesn't tend to run this well at the beginning of the season. More of his better runs in his Cup Series history have come in the later halves of the season. But I think it just kind of goes to show how that like change of leadership from as far as the crew chief is concerned has really kind of got Bubba off to a hotter start than he's usually used to. So we'll see where that translates. I believe he is 7th in the points right now. So, I mean, fantastic stuff from Bubba Wallace. Great run for him. Chase Briscoe, 4th. I believe this was also his first top 10 at JGR, if I'm not mistaken. And, well, I guess top 5, but I'd have to go back and look at his other races. But good result for him. Didn't really feel like Chase Briscoe was really in the mix. I don't know. He kind of just seemed like more of like a 4th to 8th driver on the day, and that's where he finished. So kind of just got the result he really deserved, I think. Denny Hamlin, 5th place. I don't think Denny necessarily had winning speed, but he definitely had top 10, borderline top 5 speed, and I think he got it. I think he got like kind of like his teammate Briscoe kind of got what he deserved. But great run for Denny, honestly. I think he really needed that this week. I think for Denny, you really want to see him start stacking some good results. I'm forgetting how he finished last week did he not? I don't think he did very good at Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to go back and look. Obviously, 2nd place a week prior at Phoenix. But yeah, I mean, we'll see as the weeks go on for Denny, where we kind of see where we think his season's going and where maybe the future in 2026 holds. But good result, though, for Denny. Speaking of good results, how about the two of the 3 RFK cars in the top 10, neither of which was Brad Keselowski, with Buescher finishing 6th and Ryan Preece finishing 9th. Another good result for Preece. I mean, it's a good 3-week stretch for Preece. Phoenix, obviously with the option tire, but led a bunch of laps in that race. Track you don't really think about Ryan Preece at. And then I believe he was 2nd or 3rd. I think he was 3rd last week in Las Vegas. So, and now he throws down a 9th place finish. So, great result, honestly, for Ryan Preece. We'll see how his season stacks out, and maybe he is able to secure a win at one point or another throughout the season. But, I think what these results really say more about, because, I mean, I kind of expect Buescher to be in the mix. Maybe, I don't know about Homestead necessarily, but I mean, I'm not really shocked to see the 17 car in the top 10, but I think this really says a lot about is what's going on with that 6 car, Brad Keselowski. Because, I mean, where did he finish? He was 26th. Yikes. I would really like to see some better results out of Brad Keselowski. I'm not hitting the panic button yet, but we are getting close to hitting the panic button. You know who I am smashing the panic button on is Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs finishing one spot above Brad Keselowski, coming in at 25th. But dude, it's gotta get better, man. I'm rooting for you, Ty Gibbs, but if Ty Gibbs isn't careful, I think you don't want to say he's going to be out of a cup ride because it's hard to say, given the situation that's going on there at Gibbs. We all know, obviously, how that dynamic is. But, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But I am officially panicked on Ty Gibbs at the moment. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't have much more to say on that. But let's see throughout here. Any other really good finishes? Another bad one for Hocevar, honestly. Carson Hocevar running up front a lot and then finishing in the back a lot. So I think that's going to be the name of the game for the 77 team. Is get those finishes to where they need to be. You can run as good as you want at the beginning, but if you're not there at the end, it's useless. So, yeah. One more result to get to. Chase Elliott coming in 18th. I don't think Elliott really had race-winning speed or even really top 10 speed, but and I don't want to say I'm concerned. I'm not concerned yet with the 9 team. I've seen a lot of people out there, starting to come for the head of Alan Gustafson. I'm just not going to do that yet, especially a guy like Alan Gustafson who has seen a lot of success in this sport. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on them yet. It's been a couple weird weeks. Let's see what happens the next couple weeks. I think we got some tracks where Chase Elliott can do really well at. Let's pump the brakes on the 9-team panic at the moment. Now, if we get another month and a half from now and we're still talking about this, then we might start hitting the panic button on maybe an Alan Gustafson. But as far as, Chase Elliott being the 4th best Hendrick car right now, I mean, I think he is. I think he just is. But, I mean, there was a time where I could have said that about Alex Bowman, and now Alex Bowman has the most top 10s in the Cup Series this season. There was probably a time I could have said that about William Byron. Maybe not as elongated of stretches, but, I mean, this is kind of how it goes at Hendrick. It's a very competitive team, and if you're not winning, those questions start getting asked. But I have no worries about the 9 team. Trust me, I just don't. I guess one last thing before we get on out of here. A lot of the rumors were swirling about this being, or about potential announcements for the 2026 championship weekend being at Homestead. Jordan Bianchi did some reporting on that. Highly recommend go checking that out over on the Teardown and over on his Twitter. But to sum it up real quick, it looked like we had potentially something coming with that. Now it's not. Now we don't really know. Jordan says it's about a 70% chance it's gonna happen, which is still pretty good, and I think it will. Honestly, he's saying that it's really coming down to like some of the money issues, especially with how Phoenix pays NASCAR a lot of money to host the championship weekend, and obviously packs out championship weekend, whereas there is a little bit of money disagreements as far as it goes with Homestead, Florida. I've still got all my chips in on this is going to be the championship venue in 2026, that being Homestead. It just makes way too much sense. Even if you've got to take a hit on the money aspect, I mean, this should be a no-brainer, NASCAR. No-brainer. And this is coming from somebody who lives 30 minutes from the current championship track. It needs to be in Miami. Got it? All right. But yeah, with that being said, thank y'all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my Martinsville coverage heading into the paperclip this weekend. Thank y'all. God bless.